ओम त्यागेश्वरम रामकृष्णम शारदां मातृरूपिणीं विवेकानंदम आचार्यं नत्वा वक्ष्यामि शुद्धये योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचा मलं शरीरस्य च भैषजेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. In our last couple of classes we discussed two types of vairagyas or detachments that Patanjali described. Apara vairagya, that is lower detachment, and para vairagya, which is higher detachment. There is difference between these two, the Vishaya and Nimitta. The object of vairagya, object of detachment, and also the reason for that detachment. Both are different in these two types of vairagyas. The upper vairagya itself has stages, but the last stage only Patanjali has framed in the sutra. We say Drishyana Shravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Samjna Vairagya. And that state of mind of such a yogi, Vyasa Maharshi has beautifully pointed out. It is caused because of the habit of Vishaya Dosha Darshana. Vishaya Dosha Darshana. It pertains to all kinds of drives. The Vairagya detachment is not only towards desires but also towards anger, jealousy, hatred, fear, all kinds of emotions, all kinds of these unhealthy emotions, towards all of these, and caused by this habit of detecting the defects in pursuing these drives. The sadhaka has made this habit of detecting the defects in pursuing these drives. As a result of that continuous practice, sadhaka reaches a stage where Vishaya Samprayoge api, even though the objects which generally inside these drives are present around, Chittasya anabhogatmika heyopadaya shunya. There is absolutely no drive arising in the chitta. The drive doesn't arise, though there are objects which generally inside that drive around us. And there is no desire either to possess or to get rid of those objects. That state, that neutral state, is this Vashikara Savjna Vairagyam. It is this Apara Vairagya, that is this lower Vairagya, so to say. And this is caused by this Vishaya Dosha Darshana. And its object, it is towards the Vishaya, the object is towards the manifested world and its tempting or revolting objects. That is the Vishaya and Nimitta. And then he talked about the higher Vairagya, Para Vairagya, Tat Param Purushakyater Gunavaitrishyam. Here the Vishaya and Nimitta are entirely different. This is caused because of Purushakyati, that is the Nimitta. The reason, the cause is Purushakyati, the knowledge that I am pure consciousness, that I don't belong to this Prakriti at all. And its Vishaya object are not these objects of creation that we see around, but the gunas, Gunavaitrishyam. The detachment is towards gunas themselves, and these gunas are, according to the Sankhya theory of creation, they are the building blocks of this entire creation. This whole manifested, sense-perceptible creation is the evolute of the gunas. So the detachment is towards the gunas themselves, which are the basic building blocks. That is Paravairagya. So Paravairagya is towards gunas, whereas Aparavairagya is towards manifested objects. Paravairagya is caused because of Purushakyati, the knowledge that I am pure consciousness, and this whole creation is distinct from me, and we two are in two different leagues, so to say. We are in different leagues. That knowledge, that causes this. So this is the nimitta, whereas in Aparavairagya, Vishaya Dosha Darshana is the nimitta. So these are the two. And this Paravairagya is almost realization, so to say. So this is what he had talked of as two Vairagyas. Now up to here he has laid the, so to say, foundation up to now. The first he defined what is yoga, saying yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of all chitta vrittis. And in there, Vyasa Maharshi, in the Vyasa Bhashya, he tells that there are two types of yogas. One is all chitta vrittis are restrained except the one pertaining to the object of meditation, which is called dhyaya vastu. So all chitta vrittis except those pertaining to dhyaya vastu are restrained. And the other is restraint of all the vrittis. So two types of yogas Vyasa pointed out. Patanjali just said yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. And since it is the restraint of chitta vrittis, Patanjali enumerates 5 types of vrittis. And then how to control these? He said Abhyasa and Vairagya. Then what is Abhyasa? Then what is Vairagya? All this he has laid out. Abhyasa and Vairagya are the methods how to achieve this chitta vritti nirodha. The methods also he has given us. So having given all this, though some more aids and all that will come later, but these are the chief methods, so to say. Having said all this, having laid this, done this, all this background, Patanjali is now going to elaborate on the 2 types of yogas, which he had just defined in one sutra earlier, Samprajnata and Asamprajnata yoga. Vyasa had given the explanation that this yoga is of 2 types, Samprajnata and Asamprajnata. Now Patanjali is coming to that point. Next 2 sutras, he is going to define or give description of Samprajnata and Asamprajnata yoga. These 2-3 sutras and then 3rd sutra from here, these are very technical sutras. The description and the commentary, they are very technical. So we will not be going into the details of these sutras, but a general idea of what is this Samprajnata and Asamprajnata yoga are. That is what we will see. So he gives description of Samprajnata yoga as Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmitanugamat Samprajnataha. So Samprajnata can happen or happens by following or with the help of these 4 types, Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmita. So he has given 4 types of Samprajnata yogas. And next he says, Virama Pratyabhyasa Purvaha Samskara Sheshaha Anyaha. In the next sutra, he doesn't use the word Asamprajnata yoga. He uses the word Anya. That is different from what was mentioned earlier. What is mentioned in the earlier sutra is Samprajnata yoga. So the next one, Anya, is Asamprajnata yoga. So the Asamprajnata yoga description he gives as Virama Pratyabhyasa Purvaha Samskara Sheshaha Asamprajnataha. We can construe it like that. So 2 types of yogas he has mentioned. The main distinction between these 2 for our purposes is Samprajnata yoga has an alambana. It has a dhyaya vishaya. For concentration, to begin with, we need a dhyaya vishaya, an object of meditation. Samprajnata yoga, in Samprajnata yoga, there is this object of meditation. And as we discussed earlier, all other vrittis are restrained except those which pertain to this object of meditation. So there is one vritti alone in this Samprajñata Yoga, vritti pertaining to the Dhyaya Vastu, Dhyaya Vishaya. That alone remains. All other vrittis are restrained. That is Samprajñata Yoga. Vis-a-vis, in a Samprajñata, there is no object, there is no Dhyaya Vastu. In a way we can understand, it is kind of blankness, although it cannot be called blankness. Sometime later we'll see. But from our standpoint, if we look at it, there is no vritti there at all. In Samprajñata, there is a vritti pertaining to the object of meditation. In Asamprajñata, there is no mental modification at all. This is the main difference between this Samprajñata and Asamprajñata. Now coming to Samprajñata, he has given 4 types: Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita. Following these, this distinction is based on the object of meditation. What is the Dhyaya Vastu? When it is gross, it is Vitarkanugata. When it is subtle, it is Vicharanugata. When it is just the bliss, so to say, Ananda, the sense of felicity, that becomes the object of meditation. And then it becomes Ananda Anugata. And then there is Asmita, that is sense of ego, simple sense of I. This is not Purusha, this is the ego, the sense of I, Asmita. That following Asmita, Samprajñata happens, the yoga happens, the restraint of all other vrittis happens, except leaving the object of meditation, which is Asmita in this case. So this is how the Samprajñata is divided into 4 categories: Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita. We are not going into the details of these. What exactly is Vitarka, Vichara and all that. As I said, these are very technical matters. We are not getting into that. The next is Asamprajñata, and it is defined as Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa Purvaha Samskara Sheshaha Anyaha Asamprajñataha. We are adding the word Asamprajñata here. In the sutra, it just says Anyaha. We understand it is Asamprajñata. Samskara Shesha means residual impressions. So in this Asamprajñata Yoga, there are residual impressions. The samskaras remain, but there are no vrittis. Only samskaras remain. And Purva means preceded by. Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa Purvaha. So this state of Asamprajñata Yoga is preceded by Purva, Abhyasa, that is practice of Virama Pratyaya. This Virama Pratyaya is what is the absence of all modifications. So which is preceded by the practice of absence of all modifications, and in which only the samskaras remain. That is Asamprajñata Yoga. This is how we can translate it. So that which is preceded by practice of cessation of all vrittis, absence of all modifications, and in which only the samskaras remain, that yoga is Asamprajñata Yoga. We need to elaborate, give a bit of clarification for this, because this can lead to an idea, and some people do try it, that we can practice this. We can practice this cessation of all mental modifications. That abhyasa we can undertake. Now that is why we need to rely on the bhashyas. The bhashya clearly says that this is the result param vairagyam asya upayaha. This state of cessation of all vrittis that is defined as Asamprajñata Yoga, its means is param vairagyam, which was described as tatparam Purushakhyate Gunavaitrashyam. So Param Vairagyam, which is disinterest or detachment from gunas, caused on account of the knowledge of Purusha, that Vairagya becomes the upaya for the cessation of all vrittis. In next one or two sutras, this Vyasa Maharshi will clarify all these things. This Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa, practice of cessation of all vrittis, can be undertaken only by a person who has got mastery over Samprajnata Yoga, who has got proficiency, who has got established in Samprajnata Yoga. That is, that sadhaka has developed that ability to restrain all vrittis except the vritti pertaining to the dhyaya vishaya. That is the first qualification. Everyone, the beginner, is not entitled to undertake this practice of Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa. Swamiji says, if an untrained mind tries to take this, it will stoop into tamas. You may fall asleep. So this Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa, practice of cessation of all vrittis, is to be undertaken by a person who has been established or who has established himself or herself in Samprajnata Yoga. He or she has gained that capacity to control all vrittis except the one pertaining to the Dhyaya Vastu. That is the capability, that is the competence, so to say. That leads to knowledge of the real nature of Purusha. Out of that knowledge comes Paravairagya, a sense of distaste towards everything other than one's own real nature, distaste towards Prakriti itself. That state of Paravairagya, that is responsible for this state of cessation of all vrittis. And that practice leads to a Samprajnata Yoga. So this is, in a short, the sequence. Again, we'll come to the sequence after one or two sutras. Here I am telling because this might give impression that we can practice this. Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa, we can practice, but no, we cannot. Unless we have mastered the Samprajnata Yoga, we are not competent to undertake this practice of Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa. That competence, that practice of Samprajnata, that will lead to knowledge of our real nature. That knowledge will give rise to supreme renunciation. Practice of that will lead to cessation of all vrittis, and that practice will lead to a state where only samskaras will remain. There will be no vrittis in that chitta. And that state is called Asamprajnata Yoga. So these are the two yogas that are talked of, Samprajnata and Asamprajnata. In the first, there is an object of meditation. There is only one vritti to the exclusion of all other vrittis. In the other, there are no vrittis at all. In Asamprajnata, there are no vrittis at all. But samskaras do remain. That is the point. Having given these two, the next subject that Patanjali takes is about, it's also a technical subject, two types of persons who attain to this Asamprajnata. Now you see, Asamprajnata, the samskaras are there. So it is not a state of kaivalya. It is not a state of liberation because samskaras are there. So this can be undertaken or achieved by two types of yogis. And those two types of yogis are spoken of in the next two sutras. Those who achieve or practice this Asamprajnata Yoga. So obviously they are advanced sadhakas, advanced yogis, they have achieved the samprajnata state, they have achieved the asamprajnata state, but the samskaras are there. Two types of yogis. First it says bhava pratyayo videha prakriti layanam. And upaya purvakaha yoginam, that is the bhashya, but the sutra is bhava pratyayo videha prakriti layanam. So of the two yogis, first type of yogis are these videhas and prakriti layas. Now this is a yogic concept. These are special types of jivas, special men, they have achieved this speciality. There is no special type of jiva per se according to them except Ishvara. But these have achieved this some speciality. They are the ones who have achieved the state of asamprajnata samadhi. They have managed to control all the chittavrittis. Cessation of chittavrittis they have achieved, but samskaras have remained, and at this stage they have faltered, so to say. Due to lack of intense renunciation, they have faltered at this stage, and as a result, they do not attain to kaivalya, but become videhas and prakriti layas. That's why I said that like we have in Puranas, devas and all that. So these are some kind of, we have Gandharvas, Devas and all that. So these are that category, two different categories these yogis accept. One are Videhas, they do not have gross or subtle bodies, they just have this antahkarana or whatever you call it, with the samskaras. And Prakriti layas are those who have merged into Prakriti. Both these are Kaivalyam iva anubhavanta. They experience as if Kaivalya, but it is not Kaivalya, because that samskara shesha is there. So they are, so to say, those who have faltered towards the last stages of their spiritual journey. They couldn't maintain that paravairagya. They couldn't keep practicing this virama pratyayabhyasa for long. Before that their body fell, or they gave up the practice, either way. But before attaining Kaivalya, having attained the asamprajnata state, before attaining Kaivalya, their bodies have fallen. Either they have faltered themselves, or their bodies have fallen. And as such, they get into these states called Videha or Prakriti Laya. We hear of Prakriti Leena Purushas and all that. So this is the kind of, they become special kinds of jivas, so to say. But they have not achieved the state called Kaivalya, which is supreme realization. They have not attained it. So this is, so to say, they have stumbled, you can say, or they couldn't achieve it, either way. So they are one. The other are yogis who have been able to retain that fervor till they achieve liberation, till they achieve Kaivalya, till they achieve complete dissociation from Prakriti. That's how Kaivalya is defined in this yoga, complete dissociation from Prakriti. So they are the yogis. He says they are yoginam. Upaya pratyayo yoginam. Bhava pratyayo videha prakriti layanam. Upaya pratyayo yoginam. So these yogis, they undertake upayas, and through the strength of those upayas, they reach to the state of Kaivalya. And he has given a list of these upayas, which is very interesting and very useful for us when he says Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna Purvaka, Itaresham. Again he says Itaresham, that is Yoginam. So this is the journey of a yogi, so to say. This is the journey of a yogi. And this is the journey of every sadhaka. This is the journey of every sadhaka. And Vyasa Bhashya gives how one leads to other till we achieve to this asampragnata, which we'll see in our next class. Okay, next Sunday, because it's Japayagnya, there won't be class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanastu.